Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome back to Behind the Numbers with the Wilsons. It is fall in the air across the nation. And one thing that is falling are Donald Trump's approval numbers across the board. It is not pretty. It is not good.
I'm
And
having a technical issue here. I can't hear you.
we are in, uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
I can
I've
hear you
lost all
loud
my
and
audio
clear.
here.
I've got you.
Hold on. Let me disconnect.
Yeah. How about now?
Can you hear me now?
Got you loud and clear. All right.
Shoot. I can't hear you.
Drop out and come back in. So, folks, while we settle our technical issues, because you know what? This is what independent media does. We are new. We do not have thousands of people behind the scenes twisting knobs and dials. We use a couple of pieces of software that generally work pretty well, but occasionally they fart. But yeah, the things that are falling right now are Donald Trump's numbers. Andrew's going to walk us through this when he comes back in. But my Lord, we are in a all right. But my Lord, we're in a, you know, I know every time we come back on Friday, we tell you the numbers are down again. We couldn't believe they can go down further. But Andrew, Trump's numbers are, they've gone from being like pretty terrible to fucking apocalyptic.
I think you can safely say everybody hates this.
Right.
You know,
right.
I think, you know, like we've said, we've repeated this over and over again. His numbers are terrible. His numbers are terrible. What are they going to look like in December?
Yeah. As folks, just so everybody's clear, on November 1st, millions of Americans are going to see that their insurance premiums are going to rise dramatically. On November 1st, millions of Americans are going to discover that they can't get their SNAP benefits. Millions of Americans are going to discover that they're not going to get Head Start for their kids. Millions of Americans are going to discover that the federal government is closed because Donald Trump was hiding the Epstein files. And as inflation is up and all these economic things are coming together, Donald Trump's about to go into the low 30s on these numbers, on these approval numbers, and maybe even the high 20s. He is already worse off than Biden, right, Andrew, at this point?
Yeah, I mean, inflation is sort of an anchor around his neck right now.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
This is from this morning. The CPI index rose about 3% from last year.
And that links in very closely to wrong track and to negative.
The context here, I think, is that this is the fastest growing inflation we've seen since January. And you know, it's hard to directly connect it to tariffs, but in the minds of Americans, it's connected directly to tariffs.
Absolutely.
They'll say in polls that we see over and over again that inflation and tariffs are their top issues in hand. You know, that's the problem with the economy as the people see it. And you know, it's showing up in the data now. And I know that the government numbers are delayed, but the people are actually feeling it.
Right.
And, you know, it's household goods that are increasing the most in cost: furniture, apparel, stuff like that. That's the stuff that people need every day. And it's going to be a serious anchor around the neck of Donald Trump and Republican candidates in 2026. And it's not getting better because he's not backing off.
So as you and I've talked about, this CPI number is a real driver for wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
And this wrong direction number is brutal.
Yeah, 6 in 10 Americans. Can you gather together 10 people in any given crowd and get them to agree on anything?
No,
I doubt it. You know, with 62% of people in the country saying we're headed in the wrong direction, that is devastating for.
And it's a huge inversion, as they point out here, from 2024.
It's a direct inversion. I mean, you know, we can see this in the economic numbers too. You know, it was 4% of Republicans approved of the economy back in May of last year, and now it's 3% of Democrats approve. So, you know, he's not. There's no mending this, I don't think. You know, we've got elections coming up in November, these gubernatorial elections.
Yep.
And we'll see how this plays. We'll see it in the numbers. I'm very bullish about both of those elections.
Yeah,
I think Democrats have.
I mean, the work we've been doing in Virginia, folks, is this economic driver, the stuff we've been doing in Virginia to make sure that we get Abigail Spanberger in as governor, has very much been driven by the economy. Very much been driven by these economic realities. Let me move my giant head back here, man. I look like a damn circus animal. Very much driven by the economic damage that's been done to Virginia by Doge, by the federal government being closed, by the Epstein files and all this other stuff. And it's just not the kind of thing you can wave a wand at.
I mean, look at what Donald Trump's focused on. His top priority is a ballroom at the White House. And
nobody likes that ballroom.
We'll talk about it down the road here.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a sec. But yeah, I mean, look, that Quinnipiac poll with that unbelievable wrong track number is echoed across a lot of other polling, right?
Yeah, it is. And so this is Trump approval straight up. I think the thing to know here, he's 14 points down, but the thing to know here is that the movement that we're seeing in a lot of polls, and this has been happening across the year, is with independent voters.
Right.
So, 2/3 of independent voters disapprove of the way Trump is handling his job, and you'll see that in the economic number too. Devastating, terrible. And I also think that you can see that in this far right-hand column, women. Normally you see women. This is a very big divide, among women for approval. It's normally like this. Normally, more women disapprove of Donald Trump than approve, but it's growing significantly with women and independents, and that's where the movement's happening. And that electorally is devastating. This is his economic number at 38%. We're again talking about Joe Biden numbers.
And Andrew, that was always Trump's fundamental, concrete, heavy, deep pillar of power. Is people thought he's good with the economy, he's a negotiator, and it's just, I mean, when your numbers are so badly underwater on the economy, folks, we are setting up for a very ugly fall next year for the Republicans. We're setting up for a brutal.
You can see it in the way they're talking about the economy now. They're sort of deflecting. It's either Joe Biden's fault.
Oh, right.
The economy is suffering, or to steal a phrase I saw yesterday, it's the good czar, bad boyar's problem, where Trump's just getting bad advice.
Yes, the czar's being advised by terrible people.
The king's evil counselors. That'll be the next thing. We haven't seen as much turnover in the administration as we did in the first right. Trump. But I do not expect that we will get through these November elections and the midterms without a huge amount of turnover. Somebody's got to give.
The tariff, the dug-in nature of him on the tariffs, which you could see from his 3:00 in the morning Truth Social, losing his mind about this Canada.
I call it Nero posting.
Right, it is Nero posting. But this rage about this tariff ad in Canada, I think it's telling us a lot. These people understand that if you stop the tariffs, if you stop the or if you stop the trade talks with Canada and you end the relationship with Canada, Canada has a lot of cards, folks, that people don't understand. And one of them is called Hydro Canada. They sell a fuck ton of electricity at a very steeply discounted rate to the northeastern United States.
As if
turn off the lights, guys,
weren't already skyrocketing for a huge number of people across the country.
Which, by the way, folks, that's a sleeper issue to pay attention to. We're seeing some polling on it, right, Andrew? Of energy costs are really making people like, the fuck is this? Why am I?
People are citing a lot,
yeah.
and
in the verbatims,
yeah, and I think part of it is the data center issue. We've got data centers cropping up all over the country, which is a good thing in my opinion. But also they suck down a huge amount.
If we didn't have data centers cropping up right now, we would be in a Great Depression.
Yeah, and if we wanted to fix the problem, we'd probably build some nuclear power plants. But
yeah,
another story for another day.
Yeah.
I'm
pro-nuclear and I vote.
Yes, that's me. I'm there as well. So this is his approval on the Russia-Ukraine war. There's a bit of a pivot. I think the new sanctions. I hate to give anybody credit in the Trump administration, but I do approve of sanctions on Russia. That's a solid thing. But,
look, I think them doing the Rosneft sanctions because Trump got his ego hurt. because Putin basically, again, slapped him in the face and told him to like it. But I mean, he's just not. When you're at 49% disapprove with men, which should be his natural constituency. And again, you go to independents and all these things, folks, it's basically 2-to-1 against Trump on any subject with independent voters. On almost anything you want to pick, it's about a 2-to-1 ratio against him.
There's also, notably here, 10% of Republicans disapprove, and that is
right.
that Bannon line number we've talked about for years and years.
Yep.
You'll never shake those people out of the party because even Fox News tacitly sort of agrees with the old school position on Ukraine.
Yep.
So he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place on this issue. I know he just wants to give up and put up his hands and say, I don't want anything to do with this anymore.
He's very disinterested in any kind of hard work now.
Yeah, well, I think he hates the fact that every time he gets on the phone with Putin or meets up with Putin, it's, he whispers sweet nothings in his ear, and he's really feeling it. And then he gets off the phone and all that.
And Putin turns around and fucks him.
Yeah.
Every time. Touch that hot stove again. See if it's cold this time, Donald. This is reflecting in the handling of the military stuff, which Pete Hegseth is categorically, having worked for 2 secretaries of defense. I can tell you he is the worst secretary of defense in the history of this country, by far.
It's sort of infuriating. It's error after error.
And I don't think it's going to get much better when we go to war with Venezuela.
God. And Trump's yesterday saying he just wants to kill people.
Right.
That's all he wants.
Right.
He wants.
We're not going to have a declaration of war. We're just going to kill the people in the boats. Oh.
I guarantee you, if there are boots on the ground in Venezuela and an American soldier is killed, it is going to be the end of this administration.
It will turn this administration upside down so fast. If this becomes tropical Iraq or tropical Afghanistan, folks,
God forbid.
And Americans carried a generational issue after Vietnam, and they carried a generational issue. We're still carrying it a little bit after the Global War on Terror. And this is a made-up war. It makes the Gulf of Tonkin look like solid evidence. It makes curveball in Iraq look like solid evidence. God, that fucking issue about killed me at the time. But all of this is made up. This is just a made-up part of Stephen Miller's jihad against brown people. And Trump likes the videos, and Hegseth brings it. Look, boss, we shut down another boat. Oh, dude, that ain't a war, Donald. That ain't a war you want to be in.
See.
And by the way, what nobody's calculating, and I had I talked to a former service chief of staff, a former member of the Joint Chiefs the other day, who said to me 2 things that really struck me. One was, the Chiefs are keeping quiet because they're afraid he's going to replace them with like much lower ranking officers and just name like brigadier generals as a Joint Chief. But he also said there is an increasing understanding that if you do this, what happens is that China will flood the zone in South America and basically start waging a proxy war. And it will be the greatest thing for China ever to end up completely dominating the northern tier of nations in South America, where they essentially become the new arbiter of power in Venezuela, Colombia, Guyana, Peru, Chile. It's Ecuador. It's a nutty, stupid idea, and none of the Trump people apparently are seeing it. And this person said to me, China is a very long game player. They've been working very hard in South America. And this would be the greatest opportunity for them to also peel off Mexico.
Right.
And he said, like, what happens when we attack the Mexicans' boats and we start attacking the Mexican nationals? And China says, we'd love to have a naval base on the west coast of Mexico.
And, I think for people to understand, we're not going to be trusted again after this. No matter what
a long time.
Next, it'll be a long time before we can earn the trust back that we've lost by blowing up these boats. And
So dumb.
It's so extremely dumb. So
Speaking of extremely dumb,
this is the shutdown.
the shutdown continues.
And we're hearing now that Republicans are considering caving on this, and this surprises me because
only in the Senate, the House guys are dug in. But
I'm surprised that Trump has not already caved and tried to spin it as a win, because he easily could. He could say to MAGA that I won, Democrats lost, and have Mike Johnson take the fall for any issues. I don't know why that hasn't happened yet, but I think it's because he's so damn stubborn. So, these shutdown polls just haven't changed. Independents, I think, are the real bright spot here. They're significantly more likely to blame Republicans. He's lost independents.
Yeah,
on absolutely everything.
And by the way, folks, just so everybody knows, when you're at 2-1, you don't get them back.
No.
People don't swing back after 2-1.
No, and I don't see it improving. We'll get through this shutdown, and it will still be on the Republican shoulders.
Yep, and folks, it's constant across all these polls, ranging from a little to a lot. Voters blame Republicans for this.
Yeah,
that is a really good sign, and it has also started to play out in party identification.
Right. We saw this in the Gallup poll this week. What we're having a little bit of an audio. Your audio is a little.
Am I chopping out again?
Yeah, robotic. Are you plugged in properly?
Use AI to imitate me. I'm kidding, folks. I'm not AI.
Next time.
Trust me, I'm not AI.
Oh, there you go. It's fixed. We saw this in the Gallup poll this week. That more +8, I think. More people in America identify as Democrats than Republicans. For context, during the 2024 election, it was like 1-1, or maybe Republicans had a couple points edge. +8 is pretty bad. The QPAC poll that we were looking at earlier had a generic ballot for 2026, or sorry, a generic ballot for if the election was happening right now, and Democrats were up 9 points in the generic ballot.
Oof.
Which. You can redistrict all you want. You can try to put your foot on the scale anywhere you want.
I mean, if we weren't as badly gerrymandered in the country right now, this would be a 94 or a 2010 style blowout where you'd talk about 40 to 50 seats.
Yeah.
I don't know that we can get to that number now that we're so gerrymandered in the states, but this is now not going to be a 6 or 8 seat election like the D-Trip thinks. It's going to be a 20 or 25 or 30 seat election. If these numbers hold, the fundamentals have been kicked out from underneath a lot of these Republicans. And folks, there's two things to remember. We talk about this a lot. Trump will not be on the ballot. Trump will not be on the ballot, which is why Democrats need to be very careful about not taking the bait and saying you're going to impeach him again, because that mentally puts him on the ballot for Republicans.
Right.
The second part of this is Republicans have always gotten less slack, less leeway on crazy bad numbers than Donald Trump does. So Democrats, when you're out running against this guy, you got to be out in the state saying, yeah, you know what? I really wanted to get the government open so that you guys here in Hernando County didn't lose your SNAP benefits for struggling families. And you didn't have your insurance rates go up 120%. You didn't have the federal government shutting down so that we're at 11% unemployment. Be the solution.
Right.
And hang this around their necks. Because look, Mike Johnson, in the last 90 days, they have worked for something like 6.
Yeah. Lazy fucker. That really frustrates me. But, Mike Johnson, to this day, he keeps going on the shows and just embarrassing himself. He keeps.
Well, you know what, though? If he has the capacity to be embarrassed, Andrew, I disagree with you slightly. He doesn't have the capacity to be embarrassed.
Debasing. I mean,
like the shame gene has been burned out of this guy. But I think the media has a responsibility here, right?
Yeah.
Where they're treating him like he's a serious person. He's not a serious person. This guy is a lying liar who lies, and he's lying, and they know it. So, but look, guys, hang on. What else do we have? So he's targeting a lot of his political opponents. This is going well too, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think this is going to turn out great. I think Pam Bondi's going to end up in jail. I don't see how we get to 2030 and Pam Bondi's not behind bars. The illegal shit with him essentially directing her to have these people indicted.
Oh no, look,
it's beyond.
If nothing else, the civil damages that will follow on this, which are not anything that he can give them immunity for, folks. The civil charges that are going to come against Bondi and Todd Blanche and Harmeet Dillon and Lindsay Halligan and Danny Bongo and Kash Patel, they're going to absolutely never get out of a courtroom for the rest of their effing lives.
So 30% of Republicans say that he's using federal law enforcement to go after his enemies. And you see in a lot of these hearings now and from a lot of Republican electeds that I was watching Ashley Moody, our senator here in Florida. She is up there just decrying the horrible weaponization of the Justice Department under President Biden. But 30% of Republicans don't buy it. They don't buy that this is any different.
And look, there's our independents down there in the other category. Again,
55.
2-1. It's the magic number you keep seeing pop up everywhere with independents.
Terrible.
Go back to that previous slide, guys, for 1 second. I wanted to. And there it is again. 2-1, 58-31.
That's a pretty solid. It's solidified over time.
Yeah.
And if we see that, if we model that out to elections, it's blowouts here and there. I don't.
And if you model out there's a driver line through all this too with women. They're the most economically stressed because they are the front line in most families on dealing with the bills.
Right.
They are the most unhappy about the way he's handling the economy. They're the most unhappy about him using the government. They're most unhappy about the Epstein stuff, and that's going to get worse for them. The Virginia Giuffre book is out now, and I read half of it last night, and oh my God.
I haven't.
It is grim. It is dark. And the things that are hiding in this thing, even if it's not Donald Trump front and center in the story, the people involved in this that are being protected now by Donald Trump, I believe Trump is still involved in the story.
Oh, yeah.
When you read her testimony, just one of the many, 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 many victims of Epstein and Maxwell, you won't sleep. It's awful. It's just unbelievably terrible.
And Donald Trump has done more than anyone in the whole world to defend Jeffrey Epstein.
Absolutely.
More than anyone in the whole world to defend Ghislaine Maxwell.
Absolutely. He's going to set her free. He will pardon Ghislaine Maxwell.
He'll never get away from that. I mean, that's going to be.
I've decided today that two very great Americans must be freed, Diddy and Ghislaine.
God, speaking of pardons, his pardon of the Binance guy, you can get away with just about anything if you're financially involved with the Trump family.
Give the Trump family access to a lot of your crypto business, and you can suddenly get a pardon.
Right.
That's great. Who could see that coming?
Very convenient.
Yeah, corruption at scale.
So this is California's Prop 50.
Yeah, talk to us about this, Andrew. That's a number. That's a number.
There was some punditry early on when Prop 50 was proposed that.
Tell folks what Prop 50 does, just so they.
Prop 50 is California's redistricting effort. That essentially a counter. It would, in its origin, is a counter to the Texas redistricting effort.
Right.
Essentially, it'll give Democrats a handful of seats that they would have to get if Texas was redistricting to have any chance at taking the House.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing your robotic voice again, but I'll explain a little more.
Keep going. Keep rolling.
So there was some punditry early on when Prop 50 was proposed that it was polling at about 51%, and it wouldn't get any better. That is clearly not true. 62% of people in California are saying that they are going to vote yes on Prop 50. One thing we can see with this, and we don't see it here in this poll, but people are saying that they're voting yes because of these outside state redistricting efforts. They're voting for this to counter that specifically, not because the state really necessarily needs to be redistricted. This is about fighting for democracy.
They get it.
Yeah.
Trump made this a national issue, and therefore people are treating it like a national issue.
Yeah, exactly. And the more they talk about it, I think it's negative polarization. We talked about this before.
Yep.
Elon and Ellison are out there, putting money behind campaigns against it, and I think they are polarizing people for Prop 50. I don't think it's working.
Yeah. I see Gigi behind you.
Yes, there she is. She loves to look outside. There's squirrels all over the backyard. So
Naturally.
yeah.
So yeah, this is the final big issue of the day, folks, and I've had so many people reach out about this. The article I wrote about it, and other folks have written some very moving pieces about it, and America's really, really not happy about this. They do not think that Donald Trump should have torn down the East Wing of the White House.
It's painful, honestly. And
And there it is.
People talking about, it's the least historic part of the White House. Well, it was built in 1903. To me, that's I consider that to be historic.
Still pretty damn historic.
This is where the everyday American went to see the White House.
Yep.
It is shocking the way he lied about it.
Well, I got to tell you, I have never woken up in any given morning and thought Donald Trump can't go lower, but this was going to a level of depravity that I am truly stunned by in ways that even I have a high capacity to not be shocked, but I am like mortified by how horrific this was. And so was America. And again, with that prior slide, independents 2-1 against Trump on this again.
Yeah, and it's not going to get better when this drags out.
Actually, not even 2-1.
I don't think this project will be done before Donald Trump dies.
I
don't think it's completed anytime soon.
And in my position, and I wrote about this in my East Wing obscenity piece. My position is, if you were a Democratic president in 2028, you finish taking that oath of office, and I want to hear one sound right after your hand goes off the Bible. I want to hear of earth movers starting up to tear that fucking building down.
The corporations who gave money to this that really pisses me off too. I cannot believe that these American corporations would fund this kind of blasphemy on the White House. It's disgusting.
And all the architectural renderings, they're not even architectural renderings. Let me rephrase that. All the pre-visualization renderings show this thing that is twice as big as the White House and out of proportion completely to the space that they're trying to build this in. It is an obscenity at every level, and that's now the Lockheed Martin obscenity, and the Apple and the Google and Meta obscenity, Microsoft and Palantir obscenity, and all these CEOs from these companies keep saying, "Oh, come on, man, I got to maintain shareholder value, or he'll hurt us." At some point,
he's going to hurt you.
He's going to hurt you anyway. And at some point, the fact that you do have other customers out in the world who are going to be fucking furious about this, that's going to hurt you too. And if you're a shareholder at one of these companies, institutional or otherwise, make sure you make your voice clear about this when it comes time for the annual shareholder meeting, because they own this. It wasn't, and look, the other day somebody was making a point on TV, and I thought it was very juvenile. Like, they're the ones who really did this. No, Trump did this. They're just accommodationists. They're just patsies. But this
he got on the phone and asked for money. I'm sure of it.
This is a guy who's calling him up and saying, "Hey, give me this money for my ballroom, or you never know what'll happen." Yeah, we do know what'll happen.
Oh, God.
Anyway, sorry to end on a down note, folks, but the good side of this is that the shutdown is unpopular. The Republicans are in a panic. The Republican Party is becoming less popular by the minute. The issue set that they thought they would have a lot of success on this year is not moving the numbers for them. And Chris LaCivita is still telling people it's all about crime. It's all about crime. It's all about crime. Crime's not really there in the polling right now.
Crime has actually declined significantly in the polling. Inflation and healthcare are the two issues that are going up and up and up and up.
Don't worry, Andrew. Donald Trump's going to announce his healthcare plan any day now. Any
I've been
decade
hearing.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
Let's see
folks.
it.
Well, once again, thanks for watching Behind the Numbers with the Wilson. Sorry we had some audio glitches today, but that's just how independent media works.
Happens.
We will be back again next Friday with more news and hijinks. You can catch me on Mondays with Molly Jong Fast on the Fast Politics podcast, on Tuesday nights on the strategy session here on Lincoln Square, on Thursday nights on the breakdown, again here on Fridays with this. You can also get me on the Enemies List podcast, the Elephant in the Room podcast, the Lincoln Project podcast, and 4,000 other podcasts that I am apparently obligated to do by whatever reason. So keep the faith, everybody. By the way, one more thing tonight. I really recommend the movie House of Dynamite on Netflix.
Okay.
It is incredibly dark.
I haven't seen it.
It premieres tonight, but
Okay.
reasons. It premieres tonight. It is the single greatest movie about nuclear war ever made. It is incredibly dark. It is incredibly accurate, and it is one of the best movies you'll watch this year. And it will rivet you, and it will give you an idea that you need leadership that isn't mercurial and
Demented?
weird and demented and fucked up. Because even when you've got good people in charge, it's hard.
Yeah.
Anyway, House of Dynamite. Check it out on Netflix tonight. All right, everybody. We'll see you again next time.